What is up, YouTube family? I missed you guys. How is the social media team doing? We are back for Tag a Bag Tuesday, and we're looking to make some money. Who's with me? We'll let some people trickle their way in. How's everybody doing this afternoon? Hope we're having a good afternoon. I'm still representing my USA. It was a good battle. I do miss the World Cup, especially during these summer days, man. These summer days were super slow. At least a lot of up and down with the war news going on, and we're still dealing with it. So it was fun to have the World Cup to go to midday. But decent tournament. Amazing. The America had such a fun, I feel like, rep. It looks like they actually had a really good rep around the world, which a lot of people do talk a lot of crap, I feel like, if you travel. So it was nice to see that. But all right, let's dive in and let's see what we got. The goal is to not make friends. The goal is to make money overnight, and that's what I'm going to try to do here. So what we're looking at is we've got a couple of stocks that we're eyeing down. When I'm eyeing down these stocks, the idea is we're trying to make money from today to tomorrow. So hopefully we can buy something today and end up selling it by either maybe post-market or tomorrow morning if it's able to get a spike. So there's a couple stocks that I'm eyeing down here during power hour, is what I like to call the last hour of the day, which for stock trading is 3 p.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. Eastern. So if you're free around this time during your day, this is usually when I'm going to work and looking to make some additional money on top of whatever else you're doing in your life. So that's the beauty about this strategy. It's a strategy that definitely helps you add on some income to whatever other income you have. So what I'm looking for in these overnight plays is I'm looking for these stocks that are creating a particular pattern. In my idea, I have 5 names to these patterns, but really I just play 2 of them. And today we're really only looking at 1. So we're only going to talk about 1 pattern today. It's called the first green day pattern. And that's just a stock that's creating usually a 10% plus day after multiple red days or going sideways for multiple days. And we've got a couple of the stocks that are doing that today. Actually, every stock that I'm looking at on this screen, you guys are all looking at right now, we're all doing that together. So all 8 of these stocks are actually doing that. So let's see which one is the most interesting to me to possibly take overnight. What up, guys? It looks like we've got a nice group of people here. What up, Joe? What up, Les? What up, Nee? Sorry if I mispronounced any of you guys' names. Nice to see you all, and always nice to have new people here. I've actually been doing this since 2018, and it truly is a passion of mine to talk stocks with others. So welcome, and let's see if this is something you guys can catch on to. So like I said, I've been doing it since 2018, so these patterns have been charted and written in history now on an Excel, as well as a website that I chart all of my trades, and that helps me record what exactly worked for me in the past and what didn't. And that's how I've created these plays that I play. Nothing's 100% guaranteed. I do win only 50% of the time. Actually, 59% is my actual statistic. So a little over 50% of the time. But you're going to notice as I bring up these stocks that we're looking at, they all are going to have an area that we should be able to get out if they do come down. So let's go over that right now. So these stocks are not only stocks we're looking to make money off of, which everyone loves to do, and that's what everyone thinks about when they come to the stock market. But there's another part to the stock market and trading, and it is unfortunately losing a little bit of money. And there will be losses to this game. So you got to have a plan if things don't go your way. So everything that I get into has a plan for the upside and downside. And it's always trying to keep our risk minimal, especially during this war time. So let's do it. And I watched Troy yesterday. I told my crew earlier. So I'm live with my team every single day in the Stock Snipers room under the Simpler Trading website. And yes, I watched Troy yesterday, so I'm amped up a little bit to swing, but I still got to remember defensive shield up or I'm going to get my head chopped off in the market. So you always want to have your defensive shield up, especially in these ugly summer days that we've had. Honestly, for me, this month is probably going to be my first red month. It's not over yet, but it might be my first red month in a long time, over a year. But we'll see how we close it out. So let's make some money together. Let's do it. Well, hopefully that doesn't stray you away as I talk about losses and stuff. That's not the goal, but that is part of the process. All right, so what we're looking to do, and I'm going to show you it really quick, and then I'm going to update it, and we'll get back to it, and we'll go over it. But every day I update this with my team, and it's an overnight watch list, and it's usually 5 stocks that I'm looking to possibly try overnight. But all of these stocks, if you notice, have a support level, meaning a level that I want to get out if the stock goes down, and then they have a resistance level, a level that I'm hoping it comes back above, and then we could sell it if it does break that. So the goal is buy as close to the support and use that as cut, and hopefully sell it above the resistance the next day. Ideally a gap up, which means it actually starts the day up. And if you go back to yesterday's watch list, sorry, 1 second. Let me drink some water. If you go back to yesterday's watch list, every single one of these, all 5 of these actually worked. This one went up 10%, and the options went up 100%. Riot went up like 5%. Wrecker went up very small, and then AMFN went up 10%, and AMC went up very small. So we'll see what we can do here today on Tuesday, 7/21. The 5 that I'm going to pick, I'll update it, but I'll just show you right now. They're all first green days, so they're all the same pattern. Some of them are in a particular sector. Actually, 2 of them are space stocks, and in my opinion, space stocks have definitely looked like they've been due to get a little bounce. And then we have 2 OTC stocks, so over-the-counter stocks, and I usually like those around these times because they don't get as affected by the market, just in case something does go down with the overall SPY and QQQ or Dow Jones. Usually OTC stocks don't get as shifted. So what I would do with these 2 plays is one of them's an oil stock, the ZNOG, and we'll go over it first. Let me update it, and then we'll go over it. But this list is updated usually at 3 o'clock every day. All right, so the 2 stocks that I'm watching, my 2 favorite ones are number 1 and 2 as of right now. I don't usually say the 5th one's my least favorite. I just always like to put 5 on there, and I just feel like more than 5 becomes overwhelming. If it's a slow day, last week we had a couple slow days, I only put 3 on there. So it all depends on what we're looking at and what we're dealing with. But the daily resistance here is about 845, 840 in Poet, so we want it to break above that. And you have a support level now that's all the way down by 810. But as long as we hold the VWAP 820 here, that's a good sign. If you zoom out to the long-term chart, sorry, 1 second. Just going to put some limits in for CDU and also Poet. But if you zoom out to the long-term chart, you can usually see what we're looking for. So that's where I always like to start, the 1 year, 1 day chart. And when I zoom out to the 1 year, 1 day, this is technically a first 10% day and multiple downward days. And it's had a couple of those recently, and both of them gapped up. This one gapped up really big, but this was all the way here. So we'll see if this can get momentum tomorrow. Typically, if the markets stay hot, which the QQQ and SPY are having a pretty decent bounce day today, if they can continue this momentum, we should get the momentum to also continue in that one. But let's see if it keeps holding this 810, 8 area, or 820 area as we continue through Power Hour. We only have 50 minutes left in the day, so be aware of that. The next 2 are space stocks. So as we bring them up, you got $7, and then all the way the long-term resistance is up by like 15 here. CDU is a listed space stock that has fallen now from $6 back to $175. $175 is actually the long-term support. I create a morning watch list every morning, and I actually said that the long-term support was that spot. So it's pretty amazing to see it exactly bounced right off that spot. And if you zoom out to the 1 year, 1 day chart, you'll see what I'm talking about. So let's zoom out to Sea-Doo. And the last time it bounced off this spot was back in February and March. And it did a huge run back to 6, calmed down 6. This was all during when we went to Mars and then the SpaceX had an IPO. So there was two big momentum shifts in the space stocks that ended up having the space stocks to make this move. But at this point now, I feel like we're having such a decent bounce that we probably can at least gap up. So that's more what I'm looking for in that SIDU. If you zoom into the daily chart now, you can see it has a support of 198, 195. I would say 195 is the support. So that's what you'd have to use as cut. And then you'd want it to break back above this 205, 206 area that it's held down all day. But nice day to start. It was from our morning watch list. I missed it this morning, but really good red to green move here at 180 and then complete turnaround up 10% from there. The other space one I like is SPCE, which is a lot less of a first green day. It's only up 5%, but this is Virgin Galactic, possible for a gap up here. And then there was one more. I didn't put this one on the overnight watch list, but Lunar, LUNR, was the last one on the list. So decent watchers here, but I like the SPCE and SIDU as the two space stocks. My favorite two here are Poet and Sea-Doo. So if those two hold, I really do like those. And then the last two that we have are OTC stocks. HGRAF, we lost on it the last two times, so it's hard for me to even try this again. But it's creating a 10% first green day, and $4 has been a resistance. It topped out at 4 once again. So we'll see if it can keep holding that spot. The next one is an oil stock, and this stock usually follows up, but the volume isn't even at $1 million yet. So the lighter volume isn't my favorite here, but it does have a lot of good history of at least gapping up the next morning. So if it does dip back to 39, I'll be more interested. So that's why I put a order down here or an alert. We'll see if it pushes back down. But that is my 5 overnight plays. I make this every single night. I've been doing this since 2019. It's what's kind of gave me my personal edge. And that's usually what you try to do in the market. But no one's ever perfect, I'd say. It's just beautiful how many different ways you can make money in the market. I usually try equity for the most part, but if they do have options, like yesterday, Circle had some pretty good options. That was pretty good. Wow, Chris is actually trading while tattooing today. I hope the person that he's doing his tattoo doesn't know he just wrote that. I'm just kidding. He just said, I'm tattooing while trading today. If any of you guys get a tattoo soon, make sure to check your artist. No. No, that's awesome though, man. Keep grinding. The double grind. That's what it's all about. And we got opportunity today. So let's see. I'm going to say Poet if it can keep holding, the good old William Shakespeare Poet. And remember, these listed stocks will move until 8 p.m. Eastern. So you do have until 8 if you really like it. But I typically love when the stocks dip like this. Because if I can enter in on a dip and then they start to curl back at the end of the day, you have a cushion is what I like to call it for that possible overnight gap up. And that's when I feel the most comfortable. So as this comes down, I'm actually going to look to possibly get some. If it comes back above 830, I'm definitely going to grab it. But if it comes closer to 810, I'll buy some, and we'll see if it can hold 810. The other one that I'm also watching is the Sea-Doo, around this $2 and 195. Trying to see if I should decide to get some here as well. All right. So now that we've got the five, the whole purpose behind five is the strategy works differently for everyone. Everyone has their own style of how they like to trade, but these patterns are emotion based. So usually when I'm playing these patterns, it's all based off of emotion. Nice, AMFN. I see that. There we go. Yeah, I was going after that one yesterday, tactical. So glad to see you were going after it too. But yeah, these are all emotion based. It's not like I'm creating something that is brand new. It's all emotion based. So as long as you can control your emotions and stick to the plan day in and day out, that's typically what we're looking to do with these. And like I said, this month is been a red month for me, and it has been over a year since I've had a red month, but that's going to be part of the game. You are going to run into that. So you want to make sure you give yourself a little bit of cushion throughout the year as you take your profits. But we'll see what we get here to close out the day. I finally feel like there is a little bit of life to today. As I say that, watch, Trump's going to say something about the war after hours. And we're going to end up getting a push down. Hold on one second. Put my hat on. Looks like my hair dried out. We'll end up getting a push down. Trump will say something. But yeah, Circle was one that yesterday we were talking about the options. It's a first green day to second green day play. We actually had two Bitcoin stocks on the overnight watch list, both Circle and Riot gapped up. And Riot actually nice. It's still moving. But if you look at Circle, CRCL, the options went nuts. They came down already, but it popped from $1 to $4.75 overnight. So if you just bought one contract, that's $100 you would spend, and that $100 turned into $4.75. But I would never say you're gonna guess the top or bottom, but that was the goal, and everyone kind of trades differently. So yesterday, I made the mistake of taking the one stock that didn't really do anything, and all the other stocks did pretty decent from my list. Well, not all of them, but CRCL did really good, and then AMFN was that other one. It came back down, but it did pop from 11 all the way to 15. And just like Tactical Trader just said, shout out to him, he was able to tag some bags there. If you're trading trades like that, you'd probably like what we have going on here in the simpler room. I was also keeping an eye on this plug, PLUG. It's been a while since it's followed up, but a slower one there. It looks like, so the fun thing I like about OTC stocks is if it is light volume, I like to trade it. If it's got to usually have more than $1 million, so that's typically what I'm looking for. This is really close to it now. We're at 700K. But if you watch the level twos, you can start to see when big buyers come in. And AMFN yesterday, I don't know if you saw that, Tactical Trader, but that was crazy. Huge buyers were coming in. And that's what creates volume. These are called the level twos. And there's 130K, 134K sitting at 395. So if anything, if it comes back and holds that spot, I like it. But we'll see if it can break back above the high a day. It's still just sitting there. Lately, I've been trying to stay a little more patient. So I'm trying to wait until the last 30 minutes or at least the last 10 minutes of the day, because markets have been definitely a bit of a battle lately. But I do still like this POET and CDU for sure, even as they come down a little bit. For CDU, SIDU, it is in a sector. And with that sector, there's two leaders to it, which would be RKLB and ASTS. And what a leader means in a sector that just means that there's one larger price stock. In this case, there's two of them. And typically, if those go or follow up, then the rest of them will follow up. So in a way, if you are going to trade CDU like we like, I would definitely have Rocket Labs pulled up, and which is RKLB and ASTS. And if those are following up when you wake up tomorrow, there's a better chance that yours is following up. Nothing's a guaranteed, and sometimes they don't follow each other exactly, but it happens pretty often. So I would definitely pay attention to that if you do like Sea. And as you notice, they both got a mini dip right there, right to VWAP. Both of them did at the same time, Rocket Labs and ASTS. And so did Sea. So it's funny that they're kind of doing the same thing. Poet's still battling with this 820 spot. I want to see it pop back above 830 for me to really get it. But for now, I'm going to try to keep waiting it out into the last 30 minutes or so. But I do like them both. There we go, Tactical. What do you got? CCLX last week? I didn't even see that one, dude. Or I don't know if you're a female or male. I'm sorry. But CCLX. Whoa, there's no volume there. What the fuck happened there? Sorry. Okay. I mean, that's a brand new one. A little harder for me to trust. I mean, this HGRAF's got 3 million in volume if you're an OTC trader. And then that Xenog, too, are not bad watchers. Xenog typically has history of follow-ups. I actually like Xenog here, but we gotta, if it comes back to 3.9, I'll be more comfortable. But yeah, that CCLX is interesting. Not a bad one. It's good to have other people in here bringing up tickers, though. I always love seeing that. So I'm going to buy a little bit of the Sea here as ASTS and Rocket Labs tries to curl. We're going to stick to like 195 areas cut. Try right around that. I'm going to try to put 199 in and see if I can get some fills there. But if not, I'll move it up to 2. And then for Poet, I'm going to wait a little bit longer. We still have 30 minutes left. Remember, these ones I'm watching are listed. So the OTC ones really are going to close right at 4 p.m. These ones will move after hours. Somebody actually asked in my community about limit orders and such. So I always like to do limit orders when it comes to that. So what I did was I put a limit at 199. And I usually like to do it like this. You would put in, the quantity you want. Then you have a limit order right here. It's over by the order sign. I do usually everything over my phone. I'm buying some Poet too. Fuck this. Sorry for my language. So Poet and SIDU are the two that we're going to start eyeing down for opportunities. Trying to get in here more on the bids. But if it's the last 5 or 10 minutes, I'm just going to have to go after them. And then the last thing you would do is you can put a stop in. Somebody asked earlier, I don't know, is Michelle here? If Michelle's here, she asked me about stops, which are good to learn, but you can put a stop in and that'll stop it. After hours, it will not stop it, so be a little careful. It'll just stop it pre-market. During the regular hours. So if you want to do that, I don't usually like doing stops. If you're at the beginning of your career, it's usually harder to press sell, so maybe do that. What happens is when you press sell and you're losing money, a lot of people get emotionally attached and they don't want to press the sell button because there's 2 really bad emotions you have to face during that time. Number 1, you're going to have to face that you're wrong. And that's the worst thing ever. Whenever you get in an argument with your fiance or your spouse or your partner and you're wrong and you know it, it's always a shit feeling. But there is a way to stop the loss and just get it all over with, and that's usually just admitting it. And usually with Poet and Rocket Labs and any other stock that you trade, if you're going to keep holding on to stuff forever, you're going to drain your account. It's going to be impossible for you to grow your account. So if you do need to do stops, what you do, like I said, instead of putting the order at limit, you change it to stop. And I usually always do a limit order because if you're buying a market order, that means you're literally letting the stock market pick the price that you want to pay for whatever stock you're buying. It looks like it just gave us a little bit at that 825. So we're up to $1,000. I try to get right around, close to $3,000 to $5,000. I'm going a little lighter in the summertime because it's just been so slow lately. But that's usually what I'm trying to get in. Then I look for right around 10% or so overnight. If the stock comes out with news or something, I usually try to make a little more. But both these stocks don't have news. Cedu's more in a sector related thing. Oh, it looks like Cedu has a little news this morning. I didn't even notice that at 8:30. Jeez Louise. What am I doing? So we'll see if Poet keeps holding and Cedu keeps holding. SPCE is still in range. I just picked Cedu instead of SPCE because this one is a space stock as well, but this one's only up 6%. And the other one's up 14%. So there's more of a range in that other one, in my personal opinion. But a lot of these space stocks, you got SpaceX completely turned around today. Was trying to create a first green day, but came back down. We'll see if that reversal can hold. SpaceX is hard to call the sector leader now, though, because it's just brand new. It IPO'd back in June. And if none of you guys, or if you are one of these people that are new and you never really traded with me, go follow me on social media. Go check out what we got going on YouTube. But I just posted a video or reposted the video about SpaceX. And I talked about the IPO price and I told people not to go after it. I mean, I know it looked really good in the first 3 days. But after that, I mean, the last big IPO that was just as big as this was Meta / Facebook. And Meta took 15 months before it actually reversed and eventually became a profitable stock for anybody that bought it. Other than that, there are insiders in this stock that are profitable. That's the thing. But a lot of these insiders can't sell until August and then next month. So that's another thing you got to be careful of. Insiders are going to be able to start to sell probably, I think it's next month. So that also could possibly start selling it off a little longer. So will it last 15 months like Facebook did? Will it be longer? Will it be shorter? We will see. But I said I'm not going to touch it unless it gets close to 100 right now, or like panics to 100. That is the good old SpaceX. I'm sure a lot of people mistake this SPCE for SpaceX, and that's probably why it got such a big spike. But the whole sector got such a big spike, but maybe this one got such a squeeze. Multiple days usually causes a squeeze, but I think it might be the closest one to SpaceX. It's one letter off. It's also Virgin Galactic, which is it's another one of those larger companies in the space sector realm. Yeah, there we go, tactical. I like your mindset, man. You should come check out what we got going on. It's only $7 for the first month, so even if you want to just come talk trading, talk for the first month, I usually trade twice a day live with my community. We go live every day in the morning and the afternoon. Those, in my opinion, are the two most volatile times, and usually when I can make the most money. So that's typically when I'm looking. I'm gonna try to add a little of this Cedu as it takes a dip here. With Cedu, watch it after hours. If it does get some sort of push or fades, you got to stick to the cut no matter what. But if it pushes, you can decide if you want to sell it, hold it until overnight. The goal for all of these plays, though, are typically, with my patterns, I like to hold them overnight for one day, typically until that next morning. I try to sell usually, I'd say around 10:30 is usually the time I'm looking to possibly exit. As of now, the QQQ and SPY are having really decent days. I mean, you're getting a small dip right here. But remember, we still are in a lot of stuff going on with the war. So you got to be aware of that. You never know what's going to happen overnight. I would be a little careful there. The one thing that we do have on our watch list that's kind of war related is ZNOG, ZNOG. It is an oil stock, and oil usually does move with the markets. All right, we got 30 minutes left. This is usually when I like to get a little more aggressive. So let's see if we get these holds and the possible turnarounds. That Xenog buyer is still there. With Rocket Labs and ASTS trying to occur, I like this idea of CDU. I have limits at 198, and I'm trying to squeeze my way in also in Poet at 826. So we got 30 minutes left, so we're putting some limits in. As you can see, SPCE just curled a bit. Trying to buy some more. I got some 199. I just decided to smack some on the ask, but I'm also having some on the limit on the bid for SIDU. Now, Poet's an AI stock. It is not a space stock. I'm trying not to load up both two. I don't like to load up the same sector unless it's a really really hot sector. If it's I really really love it, so I'm doing two different ones. All right, C2, I'm buying some more. We're getting a pretty good curl in Rocket Labs, so I think it's only right. I still have that limit 198, but I'm smacking some 199 here. So typically with these stocks, like you said, if they're up 10% or so, I'm trying to make around 10 to 15%, ideally that next morning. If we don't get as much out of it, say we get 5%, that's fine. It's all a situational thing. If news comes in the next morning, it really helps. And then if the space stocks are obviously gapping up, I try to stay a little more patient. So all of that usually does help it. There's always factors into tomorrow, but both these stocks don't have news. It's just CDU's in a little sector momentum here, and we're going to try to ride with it. We do have now over 2,000 shares at 199. We'll see if we can get more into the close here. And then we have around 500 shares now of Poet. So we're starting to get ourselves in to these plays. Whitney, what's going on? Let's go, Sea-Doo. right, so we've got 199. We've got 3,000 shares now. That's going to be the spot. We're looking at Poet here. We'll see what else we'll deal with. I do send out alerts to my squad. I'll send you guys it at YouTube just so you can see exactly how I operate. But there it is. We'll see if something else comes out of it. And then Poet is the next one I'm trying to do. Typically, I've been taking one stock overnight, but on this year, I've averaged two stocks a day. But we tried to slow it down a little bit this summer, but I've been liking the action all day today. And these space stocks have been something I've been waiting for a bounce for a long time now. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed, but we'll try it out. If you do like any other space stock, you have SPCE. You also have Lunar, which was another one. I just took a dip down to 1440, a little bit higher price though. So like I said earlier, if you're one of those higher priced people, that's how you can decide which one you want to go after. Do you like lower price stock? You go after CDU, $2. You like higher price space stock, 1450. That's usually why I like to put multiple things on the watch list there. And then I'm adding the rest of Poet right here. So that's the last one. Poet and CDU will be the two. Keep an eye on Rocket Labs and ASTS if you're going to watch space stocks. If those do follow up, it will help out. And then obviously Lunar and SPCE, those are the other space ones. If one of these small cap stocks really get going, it usually takes one of them to get going to get the rest of them going. So we'll see if that happens. And then Poet here, put it into perspective. I think we're going to go after that as well. We just want a little more hold. I want like 50 more shares. It is an $8 stock, so a little bit higher priced one we're dealing with there. But I'm going to go with two. Both these two I've been watching since the morning, so let's just ride with it. If I say I've been watching it since the morning, that means I've been watching it all day, even when I was at the gym. Hawkeyeing it on my phone. Felt weird to even walk in the steam room on days like these because you still want to watch these stocks. Xenog might offer us that dip back to 39, and if it does, maybe I do a little bit of that too. We'll see. That's a little OTC right there. But I think I like the two that we've got. No matter what, keep an eye after hours. Remember, these will be movers after hours until 8 p.m. Eastern. So you got time for both of them. Even if they do get a little dip, just make sure they're holding their spots. The more important thing, in my personal opinion, during the summertime and what we're dealing with, at least during times like this when the markets are doing what they've been doing lately, as make sure whatever you do get in, you know what you're going to be able to lose if it does end up going south. And as long as you're comfortable with that, you're good. Just don't make sure it's going to wash out your account. Make sure it's very minimal and you feel comfortable. Because you could feel comfortable and have a small account and feel comfortable with losing $1,000, but then your account's going to wash itself out. So that's a different story when I say that. I just mean make sure you're sticking strict and tight to it. But if you're wondering what I meant by what the market doing the past month, this is what I mean. Up, down, up, down, up, down. It's like a ping pong ball. It seems like it's consolidating to eventually break back north. But I don't know. Maybe it's consolidating to break back south. We'll see. But usually nothing goes straight up and straight down. And we did go straight up for a month and a half. So now we're consolidating for a month and a half. I mean, we were doing that a while before that too. So we'll see if there's another leg up for that one for the overall markets. All right, Poet. We got metal stock UAMY. Talked about it a little bit earlier today. But metal stocks have also been another sector that's been down. Metals, drones, stocks have been down. And then we've had some pretty ugly Bitcoin dips, which means these sectors are probably going to end up heating up. I would say sometime this year again, once everything blows over. And the more these things fall, the better opportunity they're going to be on the upside. So I'm actually super excited for what's ahead. Just got to make sure not to lose too much on the downside. For those of you guys that are live with me right now, if you don't take anything overnight, the one thing I can say that you could possibly take with you is how to create alerts after hours. And I've showed my team this multiple times, but if you are new to the team, it's definitely something that helps, especially when you're trading a stock like this or stocks like these. And what we're going to do here is we'll open up the two stocks we like that we're trying out here. And for Poet, we'll put our alert all the way down here below support, so like 822. I'll put one of these alerts, and then I'll put one down at 810. And what I did was I right clicked, I put add a drawing. The drawing I add is called a price level drawing. I put the price level drawing at the price I like, which is 813. I right click that drawing now, and then I put create alert with drawing, and if it crosses below. And now what happens is if I'm hanging out after hours, if I didn't go to the gym and I go to the gym after hours, or I take a run, walk my dog, whatever I do, hang out with my fiance, it gives you the opportunity to have those alerts, and then you can open up your phone once that does happen. So I usually like to put one on the upside and one on the downside, and that's what I'll do here. And we'll see, or I like to do usually 2 and 2. So we'll put 2 on each side. Put some here on crosses above, and then 845 highs, and I'll put one at like 835 just in case it starts to move in the north direction. I want to keep an eye on it. And then we do the same thing with Cedo. And if you want to do that with Rocket Labs, it's not that bad of an idea to do that either. So right click, price level, or add a drawing, price level. I'm going to put 197 here. Create alert with drawing, crosses below. And then obviously when you want it to cross above, you have to press crosses above. So create a drawing, alert, create new drawing when it crosses above. And I'll probably do that for Rocket Labs and ASTS just to keep an eye on those two. It's annoying. I don't think you can do this on your phone. I should have actually asked them earlier. I actually had them on the phone earlier because they updated their app, Thinkorswim. And if you look at the app, there's a button in the top right corner that lets you expand the charts now, which is decent to look at, I guess, an expanded chart. But it took away the alert button, but the alert button they put at the way, way top. So if you're interested in alerts, they actually moved it to the way, way top. All right. And then for Rocket Labs, let me put an alert up here by highs, and I'll put an alert by support. It looks like we already have one that's set from up there, and it didn't click that. That means it fell below whatever that spot was. All right, so I put it on ASTS as well as Rocket Lab. So now I'm kind of prepared across the board. It doesn't necessarily mean if those two gap down, the other one has to, but it is pretty consistent, but nothing's an exact science to it. In the last 10 minutes, if we keep holding on this poet, I'm going to buy the last 50 shares. But we have 700 shares now, so we have a decent amount. All right, so my alerts are in. SPCE made new highs, or if any space stock were to make new highs, it's nice to see one of them does. So maybe we clicked the wrong one. It's been like that lately, as I showed you guys yesterday, how Circle CRCL had a huge follow up. And then you also had AMFN, but Wrecker was the one that we kind of went with. So it's funny. No one's going to be perfect in trading. And that's why I love it. Very similar to golf. You could do options on Sea-Doo. I'm going to stay away from that. But yeah, I mean, if you want to, the thing with the options is if it does get a pre-market move, you can't really touch it. And this stock does typically, I mean, it has pre-market potential in it or post-market potential. So I'm going to wait there. Even though I did read something about options being able to trade post-market and pre-market soon, which was very interesting to me. But that is a good question, Johnny, if you wanted to do that. I like usually options for the higher price stuff, like the $60, $70, $100 stocks. Usually the larger listed stuff is usually when I aim more towards it, like yesterday with the Circle or Riot. All right, but we've got 10 minutes left. So the last one I'm potentially trying to add a little more of is this Poet. The rest, we're just going to let it ride out and we'll see what happens. SPCE, that was a nice push into the close there, actually. 271 to 277 now. We'll see if it keeps getting the momentum. And the past 2 days, we've had some pretty unreal runners, some pretty amazing opportunities, and some really big squeezers. CPHI was the one today, absolutely destroying shorts. And then yesterday, you had another one. It was like ZYBT. So these have been nuts. I don't usually like going after stuff like that, but if they do consolidate, which the ZYBT actually is, tomorrow morning there's a potential there. The one I really like for tomorrow would be this ADVB if it keeps holding. And what we usually like for these morning momentum is I call it a morning momentum squeeze, and I'll add a drawing on each one of these levels, which I like to do low a day, close, VWAP close, and then high a day. And if we can cross over these key levels, it starts to really get interesting. No matter what, you need to hold the bottom two. But once it gets above the bottom two and it starts moving up towards these up two, things get really interesting. CPMG was a small example of that today. It didn't quite break out, but if you go to CPMJ, or sorry, CPMJ, what was it? CMBJ. What the fuck was it? CJMB. Jesus. It actually hit 150, so it was able to complete that complete move from 120 all the way up to 150. And that's a pretty decent move. All right, so we're getting the last of this Poet here. I think it's hold for me long enough. Our average is right about 828, so right where it is right now. But we'll see what we can do with it. 810 is really the cut, but if it comes back below 820 VWAP, I'll feel a little bit uncomfortable. Looking for it to hold 831. It needs to get back above into the close. And HGRIF has ended up holding this 380. We'll see if that does end up gapping up too. Small hold into the close. There is that Poet move, or that Poet alert. So I've got 750 shares. That's probably what I'm going to max out at. We'll stop there. But 828 is the spot for me. So 2 plays here today. We got to do it live and action on YouTube as well as social media. And we have those other opportunities on the overnight watch list if you like those. SPCE, which is making new highs right now. HGRAF, which is holding 875, you would use as your cut. And then Xenog, which is a little too light volume for me. But these stocks will move until 8 p.m., the ones that we decided to buy. So keep an eye on those two. And then tomorrow morning, every single morning, I'm also going live with my team. We've got ourselves a couple stocks on the morning watch list. So if you don't like anything on the overnight watch list and you're more of a morning trader, we've already started to line ourselves up for tomorrow morning. I like these couple of stocks for morning momentum plays. ADVB is definitely my favorite. And then Help is a psychedelic stock, which if you were around last week, the psychedelic stock ATAI got bought out by Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly, a huge pharmaceutical company, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies, actually went out and bought ATAI, which is like a psychedelic DMT and psilocybin style drugs that they use to help PTSD and depression and all that. So some pretty cool stuff that happened last week out of ATAI, and that gap up caused, it was a buyout, so it hasn't really moved since it gapped up. But it looks like we're getting a little bit of movement out of HELP, which is another one of those. It's literally named Cybin Inc. So we're coming up to a resistance level. We'll see how it deals with it. It topped out of there. It topped out at that spot today. But tomorrow morning, it's not a bad one to add to your watch list. And then if we do take anything overnight, typically, I'm going to put it on here just to show you the plan that we're looking for. So for Cedo, we'll throw it on there as well as Poet because those are the two. And we're really just looking for second green days in both of them. If I'm in them overnight, I'm going to highlight them in green. But yeah, we'll see what happens after hours too. Maybe something happens after hours and we have to let go of them or something. But I do like the close in at least the other space stocks. Cedo's not really moving too much up. There we go. It's getting a small tick. But if you do look at Lunar, we're trying to curl. SPCE made new highs. And then Rocket Labs and ASTS are still holding VWAP. So we'll see what happens overnight. There we go. Cedo. Small little ticks. One tick at a time. One tick at a time. There's that Poet. Nice move. Went up 5 cents. Nothing too crazy. But like I said before, one trade at a time. And if you looked at my social media post, it's actually hilarious. I just posted. But it's just about people that usually I try to tell one trade at a time, and they end up just swinging at everything. It's crazy. Lunar, nice little spike there after that dip. 1450 back to 1460. We'll see if that holds. ASTS also got a decent spike, which helps usually the other space stocks. So we'll see what we get. 5 minutes left. Looking for the buzzer beater pushes here. Bitcoin is a sector that, in my personal opinion, is due for a big run. So what do I think is going to cause the run there? Well, I think that it needs to break back above this 68K, and it's hanging right around there. So if you're not going to come hang out with the team tomorrow, remember my voice telling you that if we gap up above 68K, start watching some Bitcoin stocks to make some decent moves. But if you are interested and you like what we do here, we've got the Simpler Trading website open. It's called Stock Sniper Mastery. I've been doing this live with my team. Literally, it's crazy to think about today, but it's been about 9 years. I've been pretty much streaming, which the young kids would call streaming. But I've just been going live talking stocks and having a good time, and that's what life's all about for me. So if you're one of those people that enjoy it as well, come catch a vibe and come possibly make some money together. I have my whole history of trades here on Profitly all the way back from that 2015 days. So if you ever check out what we have going on here, you can see the whole chart there, every single trade. And as you can see, the summer kind of slowed down a little bit, but it's been a little bit. We took a dip in March of last year. So there was also a time last year we slowed down. Nice closes here. Both Sea-Doo and Poet coming to new highs. Come on, Sea-Doo. We're coming to new highs here. Looks like the last little ads didn't get added, but it's okay. I can still add them after hours. We'll see what happens into this close. But I like what I'm seeing here. Really decent push. And the whole goal, obviously, is for a possible overnight gapper. It does have some sellers up at 205, so we're going to see how it deals with it. What's beautiful is also Poet's doing the same thing. So love to see that as well. Oh, shit. Sorry. Poet just did the same thing. So we'll see what we get here. We've got 2 minutes left. I call this the 2-minute warning. Will these be able to get their spikes into the close? New highs would be golden. We're at 205 for Sea-Doo. We got a pretty nice cushion now because of the size that we got. Nice. 206 we got in Sea-Doo now. Sea-Doo looks like we want to move. We got new highs in Sea-Doo. SPCE new highs. This is how we want to close out the day for you guys out on YouTube. I hope some of you guys were here to hang out and make some money with me. That's always the goal. Let's see if these squeeze into the close. The 206, 207 new highs into the close is pretty cool. Not going to lie. I'll watch it after hours, though, because you never know what can happen. Rocket Labs and ASTS are still kind of just sitting there. So you never know. We've got a couple seconds left here. Oh, we've got a minute left. But this was the push we were looking for when we talked about this stock. We have a $200+ cushion. I just said I was red on the month, but I might have to change my mind and say I'm not anymore. Just kidding. That was a Michael Jackson laugh. That was bad. All right. I sold a little bit of that Sea-Doo on that push, but trust me, I'll add it back before the end of the day. With that, nice work. For those of you guys that were with me on YouTube, we do this every single day with the community live. If you want to come join, it's under Stock Snipers in the Simpler Trading website. Come check us out. Much love. One trade, one day at a time. It's already getting this weird volatility after hours, so I'll keep an eye. Definitely keep an eye on all this stuff after hours. Sea-Doo, SPCE, all the above. We're going to be looking to possibly buy some more if they do what they do. YouTube team, my handle on X is Stock Sniper Team. So if you want to follow me on X, it's Stock Sniper Team. On Instagram, it's Stock Snipers. And then on YouTube, it's Stock Snipers. It's got the same logo, that little S logo. There is a lot of impersonators out there. It's pretty annoying. So be on the lookout for that. But all right, great work today, guys. I got a limit to add some Sea-Doo if it does get a dip because I did sell some into that push. But I'm looking for things to squeeze. ASTS are going green. Rocket Labs are going green, so we can easily get more of a push here. I already got my alert hit, so I need to move my alert up for after hours. I'll move it up to 210. But we'll see what we get. All right, y'all. All right, YouTube team. Come say what's up to the community and the Stock Snipers team. But if not, I'll be back here live. Where did my team just go? I lost them. Oh, there they are. I'll be back here live tomorrow with my squad, but every week I'm going to try to do YouTube live, so come join me again next week. If ASTS and Rocket Lab spike after hours, we should get a Sea-Doo spike as well. All right, y'all. See you guys, YouTube team. Peace.